Battle for Kherson, the situation in the Andreevsky and Berislav directions for 14 hours. In the Andreevsky direction, units of the Marine Corps of the Armed Forces of Ukraine made an unsuccessful attempt to storm the Kostromka-Ishchenko line. The Russian armed forces repelled the attack, destroying 10 pieces of equipment, including 2 tanks and 3 armored fighting vehicles. At the same time, several dozen people in the Ukrainian army yesterday abandoned the attack on Bruskinskoye. And on October 5, 66 servicemen left Belogorka without permission. The main reason for not following orders is sending people to the slaughterhouse. To supply the Ukrainian group, the Ukrainian military will use the crossings over the Inhulets. Another pontoon was built north of Davydov Brod, which reduced the load on other sections. On the Beryslav direction of the offensive, the Ukrainian military is preparing to resume the offensive. Ukrainian artillery and aviation are firing at the front line of defense of the Russian armed forces. Armored vehicles moved from Ukrainka towards Chervonoye. A supply depot has been set up in Belyaevka. 2 battalions of mobilized citizens are being trained at the training grounds in Kryvyi Rog and Apostolovo. Their dispatch to the war zone is scheduled for the end of the week. Zaporozhye direction. The Ukrainian command is completing preparations for a counteroffensive in the Zaporozhye direction. Ukraine needs to regain control over the nuclear power plant before the onset of cold weather, as well as cut off the overland supply route for the Russian group in the south. There is a high probability that sabotage and assault groups of Marines will be thrown into the Energetar region both from Nikopol and Zolotoye Balka. Currently, water is being discharged in the Kakhovka reservoir, which may damage coastal barriers. A platoon of the 65th Separate Mechanized Brigade of the Reserve Corps, with artillery fire support, conducted reconnaissance in battle in the Novodarivka area. The Russian armed forces repulsed the attack. Ukrainian formations are digging in the Doroshnyanka area. Subversive groups of formations intend to carry out an attack on Russian positions in the direction of Marfapol. Special forces of the Marines of the Ukrainian Army continue training on the landing of tactical troops on an unequipped coast. This morning, 3 Ukrainian boats passed through the lock of the Dnieper hydroelectric power station in the direction of the shipyard after working out tasks in Andreevsky. The plant itself has not been functioning for a long time and there are no workers on it. The enterprise a few months ago turned into the headquarters of Ukrainian units and foreign mercenaries. Starobelsk direction. In the Kupiansky sector, the armed forces of Ukraine are developing an offensive against Russian positions near the village of Olshana, where the 14th Mechanized Brigade was able to gain a foothold on the outskirts of the settlement. At the same time, the 1st Battalion of the formation struck at the Pershotravnev, Ulyanka line with the task of penetrating the Russian defensive lines and reaching Olshana from the flank. Formations of the 2nd Battalion of the 14th Omber of the Armed Forces of Ukraine and the Nationalist Battalion Kraken managed to push the Russian troops out of the vicinity of Kislyvka and enter from the western outskirts of the settlement. However, under the blows of tank units and artillery of the armed forces of the Russian Federation, the enemy was driven out of Kislyvka with heavy losses. The Russian armed forces regained control of the front line of defense. On the left flank in the Tovolzansky sector, the Ukrainian military took up positional defense, and personnel are being rotated. The Ukrainian command withdrew subordinate units from the Dvyurechny area due to the massive fire impact of the Russian army. An anti-aircraft missile division of the Ukrainian army was deployed in Dvyurechny to provide cover from airstrikes and counter Russian UAVs. In the Limansko-Svatovsky section in the direction of Terna, 60 people from 118 troop units of the Armed Forces of Ukraine were deployed. In Yampolovka, the evacuation of non-combat-ready personnel was carried out. Several detachments of English-speaking mercenaries were brought to the Dybrovsky direction. The Ukrainian army tried to restore lost positions and force the Zarabets River in the areas of Regorodok, Karmazinovka, Rozovka, Novolibovka, and Makevka. Russian soldiers repelled the attack. At the moment, the Russian armed forces have managed to regain control over the left bank of the Zarabets River. The settlement Torsky is located in the gray zone.